Welcome guys to the new video on Team Crushing the Mana. Today we go over a deck profile for the standard gear Chronicle deck with the Nextage set in mind. So I will be covering for you guys the Chronodragon deck. And for persons that know it, I'm Dave. I'm playing mainly Gear Chronicle, and this is the deck I used in the Thank You Fest of Arnhem at Gamers Paradise like a week ago, and where I actually became fourth. So was really great to play the deck myself. Was the first tournament that I really could play it to the fullest potential, where I could have tested it and everything, and I was really happy with the results. I actually played against a lot of friendly faces, had some great fun, and yeah, that's why I want to show you guys my deck for the Gear Chronicle deck. And yeah, I will just go over the matchups between the deck profile. So hope you guys enjoy it, and we will be stunning. So I will be playing one Chronodragon, just is for the Chronodragon deck. You can't win any other starter in my opinion, but just gives you a card, gives you a quick shield, nothing more, nothing less. And then for the trigger lineup, because I will be going from grade 0s to grade 1s, is the 4 huge triggers. Just a beautiful piece, of course. I really like them. Don't go without heals in standard, I think. So yeah, just for heals, basic stuff. Same for playing crits, but in this deck I'm playing the 6 crit and actually the 6 draws. So there's a reason behind playing 6 draws, is because I want to find my PG. I find that in this deck, yes, you have a lot of draw power, but what I want to see is finding my piece, because this deck needs to set up their field on their own, and if it's retired, it's very hard to get a field back. And with that, the draw trigger really helps, since if your field is empty and you need to refill it from your hand, it's not that harsh compared to playing the 8 crit. It just helps slightly. It just is, in my taste, a very good option, since you can also discard it with multiple cards in this deck. So the cost of running a draw trigger is rather low, since let's say for example you draw a card with the draw trigger and you can just discard the draw trigger for your skill. So you can split the cost right there, so that the normal draw trigger has more value than the average draw trigger in any other deck. So yeah, that's why I played 6 draws and the 6 crits. Yes, you can also say, but you're coming for very high power with Chronodragon, and that's why you want to play 8 crits. That's totally on your take. I personally like playing the 6 crits more than playing the 8 crits. And what you also can do is just every time you want to see a crit, you can just put them back into the deck with the following grade 1. And that is the 4. Wait a second. 4 Quickie Worker. So she's the card that puts your grade 4s back into the deck, gives you a little bit of draw power for it. But if you don't want any draw power, you can also just send herself or a trigger back into the deck and stack your deck that way. So if you're low on critical triggers in your deck, you can just put 1 back into your deck, or maybe even 2 if you have 2 of them in your hand, and just go that way. So really, first stock card, I still play it at 4. Most people, or more people, are playing it 3 over the time, but I just like 4, since it's one of my favorite cards in this deck for her versatility. Then I play 4 Chronotooth. Just gives you free draw power in the early game, so gives you a lot of draw power from the get-go. Doesn't need you to hit on the Vanguard attack like any other grade 1. And when it's being discarded, it gives you also more advantage. So you have a lot of discard skills, and one of the cards upcoming after this also helps with that. And for the rest, helps you set up your field. Even though it's a little bit slow, it's still a +2 in a way. And then this card, we play 4 Steam Breaths. Search out your grade 3s on the top 5. So we're playing a low count of grade 3, so every searcher to help the consistency with the deck really helps. It's also a 13 game base, so as you can see, no grade 1 in this deck does gain power other than Steam Breath, so we really need the Steam Breath for that. and that's why I want to play it, since this deck has a lot of power issues on the rearguards. So that's really it for the Grade 1s lineup. Yeah, and what was really nice to see is that the Grade 1s really helped me in the tournament, because I had a lot of times there where I didn't have my Chrono Jets, or had a G assist for them, so that was a real bummer. But with the additional Steam Breath, I handed multiple times a Chrono Jet to my hand when I didn't have them, or when I wouldn't encounter them without using a Steam Breath. So Steam Breath is actually a very nice piece. Also, it's a third engage attacker when it's on Vanguard Circle, because when you first ride it as the Vanguard, you check the top 5, discard a card, and since you already discarded it against the 5k, so with that it also helps with the early aggressiveness. Then for the Grade 2s, I still play 4 aircrafts. Some people in the Japanese side of Vanguard transfer this to playing the stroboscope, but I personally don't like it for this format at the moment. Since we have Archer running around and having Altma running around, but I don't see them as a big threat. I just want to play with them in the sense that I want to make numbers. So what I usually do is write every turn a Chrono Jet from my hand, so that I make more force markers than I averagely do, and with that make up my rearguard columns. So if I have a 10k rearguard unit, for example, I can give it a force marker with an 8k booster. It's already 28k. That's a nice number to have, and it's actually a good number. Otherwise it will be just an 18k stroboscope. Whoop whoop. Wow, that's gonna do much. Oh yes, you retire a rearguard, but it's hitting for shit, so you close the game far slower. Then the actual beater in this deck, I play 4 Smoke Gear. Smoke Gear makes a really nice column with the Steam Breath, since it gains 5k power when it attacks the Vanguard, and stroboscope gaining 5k. So what it's actually gonna be is the 28k column from itself. With the marker, it's 38. Very nice numbers. It also gives you a card, and his biggest skill is when you stride, if you have a Chrono Jet Vanguard, or when you would discard the sum of grade 3, you can discard any card from your hand to count it as a grade 3. So what you can do, for example, is discard the Chrono Tooth gives you a card back, and you actually went with 4 counter blast. So you didn't minus, you didn't plus, but you still got your grade 4. So that's really nice to see. As you could have seen, we are playing the 4 Smoke Gear and the 4 Quickie, so we use a lot of soul in this deck. So we need a soul replenisher, and that is in the form of Naboo. I find playing this list, when you're rewriting almost every turn, or maybe some exceptions to it, and running the 4 Naboo, I feel like that I have just enough soul to do every skill I want to. I don't have to question something, but for the persons that want to have the option, if you have not enough soul to use Quickie Worker, that's not a big bummer, because Quickie Worker is soul plus 2 for our cost for 1 draw, and Smoke Gear is an actual soul plus 1. So if you can resolve Soul Blast Smoke Gear 2 times, then it's actual plus 1 opposed to Quickie Worker. So that's really nice, and that shows that you don't always have to play Quickie Worker in that sense. So very nice lineup, I find. I have to say, it's a very easy lineup, but it works the best for me, because I want to rewrite as much as possible. I want to have the most power, but I also want to play soul. So I need every piece. Yeah, at 4, yeah, nothing really to say about it, and yeah, that's the reason behind it. So I hope you also, guys, yeah, think the same as me on this, and if you don't, just leave a comment below and ask me a question about it, because I'm very yeah, I will be willing to help you guys. For my matchups, I used a lot of markers when going against like an Altmo matchup. Unfortunately I didn't, so I couldn't really give you the results of that, but also against something like an Archer, because if Archer is boosting you a lot of power to receive, you also need a lot of power to give her back, so you need to strike hard against hard. And then the big unit of this deck is the Chronojet that gives you a marker, of course, gives you a guard restrict on his attack for sentinels, and yeah, lets the ball rolling. Also has the Lost Legends skill, so you can write any grade 4 in this deck. I really like this deck because of that. Some people say, it screws with the consistency of this deck. I don't care. I just want to play this. I'm like Lost Legends is out for maybe 1 to 2 years now, I think. And I'm familiar with, I need to GS it for my grade 3, so yeah, over time it isn't that big of a bummer anymore. Then I play 1 Metallica Phoenix as the grade 4 lineup, since I want to have triple drive my first grade 3 turn, because the next card isn't live on your first grade 3 turn when your opponent is still grade 2. And that is for Nextage. Nextage is your restander, gives you a lot of power, gives the Chronojet the extra 15k. So what you had in the G era was the Nextage will be a 26k attacker, since Chronojet will be 11 plus the 15 from the strike, but now they converted it so the 15k from the strike originally is put on the Chronojet instead of the Nextage, but Nextage of course still a 50k unit. So that was really it for the lineup, and now we'll be going over to the matchups, because I played against a multiple of decks. So for my matchups, I actually went against 1 Asha Speler, 1 Gear Speler, that was Remco, and against 1 Midas player, which was actually Sparkle. So had a lot of fun playing against them. I also played against 1 person, but I don't actually know that anymore. I'm very sorry, I didn't remember it. But for my first fight, I played against Remco. He was playing Fang, played it just the way it should be. He forced my almost every card out of my hand, but since I didn't have any PGs on my hand, unfortunately I couldn't guard, and PGs were put into the damage zone, so that was straight a 0-1 for me. So I actually lost the first round of the Swiss, and I was like, damn, I need to step up my game. So I went into the second game, played actually against a player I don't know anymore, and I won that one. So for the third match, I played actually against Asha. I went first, and what happened, I went Great Star. So I could not find my Chronojet actually, so I didn't have any markers, and I whiffed. So that was a really big bummer. So then the Asha player smacked me really hard, but I just managed to survive, and I was thinking, okay, I need to get my Chronojet right now, either from my G assist or just from draw for turn. But for the better, I would need it for my draw for turn, otherwise I would have such a small hand that I couldn't keep my PGs and stride at the same time. But what happened, the Chronojet came into my hand for draw for turn, I smacked him with the Nextage and instantly killed him. So that is really the pressure point of this deck. If you get enough crits, you can kill your opponent on the first grade 3 turn. He actually went second, but because he got the first grade 3 turn, I instantly went into next stage. So it was a really fun match, and yeah, fun to see I had to come back. And it was, yeah, I need to win this one, because going into a 2-2 split into the splash is not that good, especially when I lost the first round. But I managed to win that, and yeah, the draw triggers really helped me in that matchup. The extra draws to go into my PGs, to search for my PGs rather, so I had more options to guard against the Archers player. And then for my last match, I played against Sparkle. So I had to say it was one of my most fun matches I have enjoyed into the standard format. It was really against back and forth against each other. It was a hard turn against hard turn. He played the Melody build. I think you will see his deck profile upcoming, and he already posted his deck on the Crossing the Meta page. But what happened, I had the slight upper hand and I managed to kill him off. So it was one of the most difficult matches to win, but it was the most fun I had to play. So it was really fun to have that. I went into like 3 next stage turn after the other. You can imagine, if you're going into the third next stage, you're still swinging in for like 80k on your Chronojet, which has the guard restrict. So with that, yeah, 3 turns after each other. At some point he has to break, but that was also for me, since he pushed me to like 5 in his instant moment with his melody build, because it swings for hard in the early game. It it has plays with force 2. He managed to rewrite every turn, and with that he smacked me. Yeah, I'm almost out of existence. Then I went into the top 8, so I went with a 3-1 record into the top 8, which was really nice, really cool. And I actually played against, well, yeah, most of the same persons in the top 8. So first I played against Archer player again, and I managed to get just swing in with my Metallic Phoenix for the first grade return. Was the perfect game. I got 2 RPGs out of those drive checks and managed to, yeah, just outsource him. When he swung with his token, it was like, okay, PG, PG. And the next turn I also got 2 PGs, so it was like, okay, cool, you're dead, because I can PG every single attack you have. What I sometimes did was actually swing with the first Nextage onto a plant token, because it will be only a 25k attack in the first grade 4 turn where you go into this, or 35 or something, and I just swung into the plant token, and with Chronojet I swung into their face. So I had 2 PGs, so I don't need to consider going for a third one. So managed to win that fairly easily, but still a great match. For the top 4, I played again against Sparkles with his Bermuda, but it was the same there. It was the same match, but this time he got a slightly upper hand, just like how I got a slightly upper hand in the first match, and he managed to kill me off. It was still a very fun match, and yeah, congrats to you, Sparkles. I'm happy you won. I already have 2 force markers, or 2 coupons from the thank you fest of my own, since I became first at the standard shop challenge and second at the premium shop challenge as well. So I already have the 2 coupons, and since I want to go for the force 2, having more than 4 isn't that needed, because you only play 3 force 2 markers most of the time. So I'm very happy I got, I actually went to top 4 and not top 2, because now Sparkles and of course the winner Harv Hayawi got the marker, so really happy for them to go to top 2, get those markers. But what I was really happy about was seeing Sparkles very serious, because for the person that don't know Sparkles, he is always laughing, always having a great time, but he's not that serious into a match. And when we went into our match, it was, yeah, he was very stressful from what I saw at least, and I was like, okay, I need to break some ice, just have a chill time, make some funny jokes like, oh, I will get this for damage check. So I said, okay, I will just get a draw trigger for the first and the struggles go for a second. It happened, we laughed, and after like 5 minutes it was completely silent. We were focusing through the entire match, and it was a great joy to see another side of Sparkles come up in the tournament. So for you, Sparkles, I want to see that side far more, since I was, it will be, yeah, it was just having a great time, but please don't do it that much, because yeah, I still want to joke. And then I lost in the second, and then I went into the top 4 and the 3 spot, because I'm a competitive player in the sense that I want to make the best of my ability. So we didn't need to place a 3rd or 4th place, but I still wanted to, just for the sake of yeah, making it to the end. So I played against Remco. Also happens the same as our first game, in the sense that I didn't get my PGs and my PGs went in the damage zone. That was bye bye Dave. So both games went first. Both games Rebellion was very angry at me, and I got smacked with my own Gear Chronicle. So I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. I got fourth at the Thank You Fest in Arnhem, a Gamers Paradise, so thank you for that. And yeah, I will be making a premium list for Great Chronicle, which I actually topped with at the Thank You Fest in Arnhem. So so you have to wait and see for the deck, but for now this will be it. This is my standard deck list. So have a nice day, goodbye.